Hi, my name is Jared Long, and I'm doing my speech presentation here on the TED speaker Pamela Myers and her thesis, which was How to Spot a Liar. She started the whole thing out by pointing out that the person to your left is a liar. So subconsciously, the audience is looking to the left and trying to see who this liar is, and then she points out that the person in front of you is a liar, the person to your right, the person behind you, and finally, the person in your own seat are all liars. This gets the audience a little curious. I mean, I know I was asking myself, how am I a liar? And, I was wondering, where is she going with this statement? Ms. Myers used visuals throughout her presentation. A little humor was thrown in order to keep the audience engaged. Like, for instance, she had Richard Nixon's head on a baby to try to show how concealment is learned at age 1. She also showed visuals of Coco, the sign language using gorilla, and told a story about how the gorilla actually tried to blame its pet kitten for ripping a sink off of a wall. I could tell that Pamela Meyer was well aware of the teachings of Reynolds and Garr. Her visuals were kept very simple, usually just one picture, and they all had a theme to them, utilizing common people, unknown people, doing simple tasks. She also stayed away from the slidesman issue very, very well. She didn't use any charts or graphs, and all the text was used very liberally, only adding to the scene. Her dynamism was a bit lacking. Although she did have inflection in her voice, I would have liked to have seen a bit more. If she would have started out in a voice just a touch higher than her own, she could have delivered more contrast in her inflection. She also didn't have much facial expressions throughout her entire presentation, so I would have to give her overall score on dynamism about a 3 out of 5. It was a bit difficult to see which of the TED commandments that Ms. Myers showed the strongest. I would have to go with the third one, thou shalt tell a story. Though, unlike Sir Ken Robinson, who tells funny stories about himself and his family, Miss Meyer chooses to tell stories about others that are known from the news in an attempt to show an example of how to spot a liar. She showed a picture of O.J. Simpson and a video of murderer Diane Downs to illustrate this asymmetrical smile that she called duping delight. She also showed a video of former presidential candidate John Edwards during an interview where he was accused of having a child out of wedlock. And she did this so that you could see how someone's head can be saying no, even though their speech might be saying yes. Her speech did show me a strong way to utilize a combination of stills and video when making visuals. It was a strong mix of both without too much video to the point that it was more of a screening than a presentation. It was much different than Sir Ken Robinson's take on presentations, as he doesn't like to use visuals at all from what I've seen. This is primarily due to the content of the speech, but also in how good he is as a standalone speaker. Robinson is also very good at utilizing self-deprecating humor to show a lack of ego, and that places him as a peer in the eyes of his audience. I think Pamela Meyer's speech showed that you don't have to be the best speaker in order to put on a good presentation. She followed the tips of both Reynolds and Duarte and kept the audience engaged throughout with a good mix of humor and curiosity. These are both aspects that I think any future speaker would be wise to incorporate.